Okay, I'm making cranberry scones with orange glaze. For this recipe, you need 2 cups of flour, a half a cup of sugar, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of cold butter, about a cup of cranberries, and between 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of cold milk. Now I've already mixed in my dry ingredients, so my flour, my sugar, baking powder, and salt. And what I'm going to do now is add in the half a cup of butter, which is cold and I've cubed. I actually like to, after I cube it, put it in the refrigerator so it gets cold again and it's not melty. You want it to be really, really, really cold. It's sort of imperative that it's cold when you make it. Now, you're going to cut the butter into your dry ingredients. And you can do that with a pastry cutter, which I don't have. You could do it with 2 forks or a knife. I don't have that, so I just use my fingers. And you're just going to incorporate the butter into your dry mixture here. And you're just kind of pressing the butter . Okay, after you've cut your butter in, which it should be relatively crumbly, like this, add in your cranberries. I've got about a cup-ish of cranberries. I just bought some packages of cranberries and I'm just using one package. So just sort of mix in your cranberries. Actually, I'm going to add more because I quite like cranberries. Okay. And once you've got all of that combined, you're going to add in your milk, which should also be cold. Now, I'm only going to add a little over half of the milk to begin with, because depending on the moisture level in your flour, you could need less. So I'll start off with just a small portion. And this recipe minus the sugar is the same recipe I use for biscuits. It's really easy and it's really versatile, and you can make just about any sort of variety of scones with it, from cranberry to strawberry to you could use cherries and macadamia nuts. I'm going to add a little bit more milk. Okay. Now it's coming together, so I don't really want to knead it anymore. So what I'll do is, with just a little bit of flour, I'll turn this out. And I like to fold mine over a couple times, kind of like if you were making puff pastry, because I think it gives the scones sort of flaky texture. Okay, I'm going to break that in half. Now, I don't like to roll my scones out because I think that they look nicer, sort of more handmade when they're just patted out. So I pat it out to, I don't know, maybe about a ½ inch thick, and I cut it once and twice. And when you cut them, You don't want to draw the knife through because it will seal the edges and it just won't rise up as nice. So then I stick these on a baking sheet, and you should preheat your oven to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 degrees Celsius, and gas mark 6 if you're in the UK. Okay, pat that out. And I cut it once. Cut it again. Really like the way that they taste with all of the cranberries through them. And then you're going to stick it in your preheated oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, I've taken the scones out of the oven. And I've let them cool a little bit on a cooling rack. And I've just taken a couple, maybe 3 tablespoons of orange juice. You could use freshly squeezed oranges if you had them, but I didn't, so I just used orange juice. And to that I added some powdered sugar. Don't use any more than a couple tablespoons of liquid, and just sort of add your powdered sugar and gradually until you get the right consistency. I wanted it to be a little bit thick, so I did a little bit more, but you'd be surprised at how much powdered sugar will be absorbed by only a couple tablespoons of liquid. I'm just going to drizzle this over top of the scones. You can do it in a pretty way if you want to, or you can just sort of spoon it on top. I like to make it look pretty. And I put the baking tray underneath of this so that the glaze would just sort of drip on it and not on the countertop, and just makes it a little bit easier to clean up. And last one. And then that is it. Now you just have one. And they should be nice and moist in the inside and tasty. And have it with some of the lemon curd and a cup of tea. And that's it.
Well, I swear your perfume, baby, is made out of turnip green. Every time I kiss you, girl, it tastes like pork and bean. Even though you're wearing those uptown high heels, I can tell from your giant step you've been walking through the cotton field.